Alright guys, today we're talking about why you should give up on dating. Of course, this is my own personal opinion, so whether or not you guys want to continue dating, that's up to you guys. It's just my own two thoughts. I created a video about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, about why giving up on dating, and then now currently I'm in a relationship, and I'm going to talk about how life is kind of backwards. If you're pursuing something, you're kind of chasing after it, you're not really going to get it, and then as soon as you stop pursuing it, that's when it shows up on your front door. Also, I want to give a quick little shout out to all my returning subscribers and returning viewers. I do appreciate you guys clicking back at another video, and I hope you guys enjoy this one, so let's go ahead and dive right into it. Alright guys, so the first point I want to start off with is something that you'll kind of notice is if you're pursuing women, you're kind of chasing after them, they seem less interested, which it's kind of weird. I notice a lot of women just in general, they're kind of like the vast majority of them are into cats. And if you ever seen the way how cats are, like essentially cats have like this sense of feeling of like attracting women, and see, like whenever you're chasing after a cat, you're gonna go and pick it up, the cat takes off and it runs away. And the same kind of applies to women. So like if you're pursuing women, you're trying to chase them, you're trying to end up getting into a relationship, you're trying to date, you're trying to go out on dates, it's not really going to happen. But if you're to not really focus on it, you kind of like just ignore it, well, before you know it, that cat will come up to you and approach you. And the same kind of applies to women. So essentially, when you stop pursuing women, you stop chasing them, they start showing you actually more interest. In my own personal case, this is something that I noticed. I was a little bit hurt. I was like, okay, well, I honestly think, in my own opinion, on a scale like 1 to 10 on the attractiveness scale, essentially I would say I'm like a 7 to 8. That's going based off my own personal opinion, based off of my own experiences, and also just, you know, kind of like asking women just to get like a general idea of how attractive they view me. And I realized that I kind of lie on that scale. Also, my girlfriend has kind of like confirmed that. I was like, just out of curiosity, like, how attractive do you view me? But essentially, from what I notice, is women are really selective, and this is something that you'll notice trying to going out on dates and just like using dating apps and all that. You'll notice that it's kind of difficult, and you have to realize that today's generation, they're not dating like how they used to back in the day. Honestly, the vast majority of relationships never really happened online, which if you look at some of the studies that are done out there today, I think it's like I would say about 75% of relationships happen online. I might be a little bit off on that number. Keep in mind, these are studies that I found out about, like, let's say 2 years ago, so I'm just trying to go off the top of my head. But I know the vast majority of relationships currently in today's generation are happening online, and people are just meeting through social media or dating platforms, and that's just basically how relationships are happening. The thing that I'm trying to get at, though, is essentially a lot of these relationships, or a lot of these women, they're getting attention from tons and tons of men. Like, essentially the competition is a whole lot more because there's a lot more people to essentially pick from. But also the other thing is, you go into the statistics of like your vast majority of people, the vast majority of them are out of shape. A lot of people don't even work out, they don't even watch what they're eating. People don't really focus or emphasize on their looks. Today we kind of live in a generation where, oh, your looks don't really matter, you should just be happy who you are. Essentially, there is some truth to that, which I do understand where they're coming from. You should be happy with who you are, but you should also want to improve upon yourself. You should be wanting to get into the best possible physique. That, like, essentially the way I look at it is, if you increase your physique and you become more attractive, it gives you that little extra feeling of happiness. You're like, hey, I see some results, I'm like, I see a difference. And that's honestly like some of these people that are like really into working out, they're chasing that because they crave that sensation of, hey, I look good, and they know they look good. And this is something that essentially, like, honestly, that's why I recommend you guys working out throughout this channel a whole lot, is because like I know the difference that it'll do for you. It'll increase your options. It'll give you, essentially, a lot of women will be more attracted to you. They'll be giving you attention. They won't approach you. If they do, you know, it's very far and few. But essentially, there's tons and tons of benefits of being attractive. Like, there's studies that are done out there that people that are more attractive get more dates, they get more attention, they get better jobs. I'm not gonna go too much into that on this video, but essentially, going back to the original point, so a lot of people are meeting online, and there's tons and tons of people out there, so there's quite a bit of a selection, but it doesn't take much to be above average. So hit the gym, start making a difference, take better photos, and then also don't really focus on it. So this is something that I wish I could tell my younger self, is that essentially you're going to become so busy. Like, if you're working a job full time and all that, you're going to have very few time, very little time to yourself to do your own hobbies, do your own activities, to do your own little things. And then if you pick up a side hustle and you start doing other things here and there, you virtually have no time for, in my opinion, a relationship. Which I'm saying, okay, if you're to do a relationship, currently, like me with my girlfriend, we hang out, let's say about 2 hours, 3 hours on day per average. That's just estimating, which, you know, that's about, like, you know, just watching a movie, watching TV, or just hanging out, which I can use that for more productive time. Which, as if you guys seen within the past year, because I've been dating my girlfriend for about a year and a month now, maybe a month and a half, but essentially I noticed that, like, the amount of videos that I've been producing on this YouTube channel, it hasn't been as much, just because I've been a little bit more happy. I also been focusing more and more on this relationship, but also I realized I need to work on this YouTube channel, because eventually I want this channel to lead to other ways of becoming successful. I don't want to be like, eventually I want to create another source of income, but I'm not going to go too much into depth on that. I want you guys to understand that, so with dating, it's going to end up taking some time away from you, and you have to think to yourself, oh, okay, do you want to be in a relationship? And this is something that I noticed with the previous relationship before the one that I was currently in. I honestly felt alone and isolated. I felt like I was surrounded by people, like I have friends and all that, and then I had this girlfriend at the time, but I still felt alone, isolated. I felt like I didn't have anybody I can share or talk or relate to. And honestly, I think that's why I started creating a lot of videos, because I felt like I can communicate with people out there online and just see that there's other people out there like that. But now with this current relationship, I don't feel alone, I don't feel isolated. I actually feel like complete, which in its own weird way, it's a good thing, yet it's also a bad thing, just because, like, it kind of builds that dependency. And honestly, I forgot what it was. Oh, it was from this Uber driver, because we ended up doing a trip this past weekend. And what was he was talking something about religion, but it was like, most people have a void in their life and it's never completed. And it made me think, I'm like, okay, maybe that's why the vast majority of people are unhappy. They're not satisfied with where they're at. They're feeling lonely, they're feeling isolated, is because they're not comfortable with that void. And there is some truth to that. So, you know, you have to be comfortable about being uncomfortable, if that makes sense. The other thing I want to mention is modern dating. Like, the quality of women that you're going to be getting, it's not going to be the best. I'm actually very fortunate for the girlfriend that I have, just because, like, from what I noticed, she's like really loyal. She treats me really good. You know, she cooks me food for like work and all that. She also works a full-time job. You know, she actually helps me out. She's been helping me out, like, whenever I've been making YouTube videos. I'm like, hey, can you help me out clean up my room? I'm just like a little bit out of time. You know, she'll go out there and she'll just help me with that. Anything that I pretty much ask of her, she'll help me out. But like the previous relationship, it was like, hey, well, can you spend money to get my nails done and all that? I was like, no, to me that doesn't make sense. Like, because, like, you know, that's like $200 right there. And, or, you know, some of these things aren't cheap. My girlfriend, she actually planned a whole trip for my birthday. So, like, the thing you guys have to realize is not every relationship is going to be the same. Each one is going to be different. And going based off my personal experiences, just because, like, so I spent a year with this chick. The previous relationship, that was maybe about 3 months. It wasn't the best. That's the one where I felt alone and isolated. And then before that, I had a 5-year relationship with that, which that gave me the knowledge of, hey, this is what you should expect. This is how a relationship should be. So that's why I know what to look for. So with modern dating, guys aren't getting the experience with pretty much knowing, hey, this is what I should be looking for. So it's a little bit difficult. So I want you guys to understand that you shouldn't be settling right away. You should honestly just be experiencing and just understanding, oh, okay, this is what I should be looking for, and understand this is the way how a relationship should be. But that's going to be really difficult because, like, honestly, this is going to, like, the statistics and some of the stuff that I learned. I think it's only like 10% of guys on dating apps that actually end up on dates, or maybe that number is actually smaller. You know, like, you can get a match and all that, but that actually leading to a date, that might not be the case. It's different for everybody. So your situation may be different. There's a lot of factors that come into play, which I'm just trying to give you guys a generalized concept. You can go into things of, oh, okay, well, depending on your city, your state, wherever you live at, that increases your chances or it takes away from your chances. On top of that, it could be the culture, and then the social media, technology, and then just overall the dating platform that you're using or whatever you're using for modern dating. And then top of that, are you meeting people in person? There's tons and tons of things that you can take into consideration, which I'm not going to go into depth on all of that in this video. But essentially, guys, I want you to understand that you should be focusing on yourself. You should be focusing on your goals. You should be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because, like, you have to be comfortable being alone, being isolated. I know it sucks at times. There's times that you feel like you don't have anybody there, nobody to talk to, and I'm speaking from personal experience. But eventually those times you kind of get used to them, or you're like, okay, well, that's just the way how it's going to be, and you just keep on moving forward. Keep your time busy, keep your time occupied, and just start doing other stuff and start improving upon your life. I want you guys to understand that modern dating isn't something that it's hyped up to be. Like, honestly, I got very lucky. I'm very fortunate that I landed with a girlfriend that I landed with. But seeing some of the options that are out there, or seeing some of these videos that guys have to put up with, I'm like, no. Like, I even told my girlfriend, if we break up, I'm not dating no more. Like, I'm checking out. That's it. And honestly, I mean, I want you guys to focus on yourself, focus on your own goals, and don't really chase women. You know, let them come to you. If they don't show up, it's whatever. You guys are still focusing on yourself. You're still focusing on your own life and improving upon it. And then, you know, if they do end up being part of your life, that's cool. If they don't, it's still also cool. So I just want you guys to focus on yourself and start prioritizing your time, because, like how I said, you're going to be, if you're working a full-time job, your time's going to be limited. And I want you guys to also realize that your time is also limited on this place. It's not like, hey, you're going to live, you know, forever. And that's something that people tend to forget, is your time is limited. So make the best of it. Do the best that you can. Make a difference out there in the world and start impacting others in a positive light. Anyways, guys, if you guys enjoyed today's video, don't forget to smash that like button, and I'll go ahead and catch you guys on the next one. And I do appreciate you guys clicking back on another.